Good morning, everyone. This is Erica again with Aurora Heart Healing. And today, this one's going to be a pretty vulnerable video today. Stuff, I keep seeing all of this stuff about the super blue moon, and it's going to be bringing up old things, and it's going to be really a rough time energetically for people. And man, is it true? At least in my experience, this last week or so, it has been really tough. Old emotions, old issues, old relationship patterns, they are really being brought to the forefront and they are in your face, kind of like you can't get away from it. You're gonna either have to deal with it, sit with it, understand it, or move away from it because it's just not something that we can ignore anymore. So this morning, while I do a little bit of every morning, some just learning, growing, trying to figure out and navigate different situations in my life. And I stumbled upon Mel Robbins, which I've always watched her, but this interview was with a woman named Dr. David. She's a world leading psychologist. This is the information. World leading psychologist, how to master your emotions and deal with negative people. I found this video so incredibly helpful in what we're going through right now and what I'm experiencing in my life currently. It's really interesting that so many of us, so many people, we don't understand or know how to navigate our emotions, and we become extremely reactive. And in this podcast, this interview on YouTube, Dr. David talks about how we can try to just continuously fix things. And instead of sitting with our emotions, sitting with what we're feeling, maybe we're feeling left out. Maybe we're feeling frustrated. Maybe we feel lonely. Maybe we feel unheard. And instead of trying to find a fix to it, well, then I'm going to do this instead, or I'm going to do this, or I'll fix it in this way. We just learn how to sit with it and say, it's hard being human right now. This humanness is hard. And I think that that really is something that so many people struggle with. It's this culture of toxic positivity, thinking that everything always is supposed to be perfect and there's not supposed to be any problems and there's never going to be any challenges to face or any hardships to go through. And she does also talk about how this affects people's relationships, where we live in a culture of just screw it, on to the next. And it really does hurt that deep understanding and connection between people, because instead of saying, okay, I understand how you feel, and this is just how you feel, it doesn't mean that it's the reality of what's happening. And that is a really tough thing for people to understand, is we go into this reactive mode of how can we fix it then? And sometimes we just want to sit and say it. I'm not feeling supported right now. That's a valid feeling, that's a valid experience. But then when we are entangled and enmeshed with other people's emotions and other people's experiences, instead of taking it for what it is, we go into this reactive, well, let's fix it. Let's figure out what's wrong, or what's wrong with me. Why do you feel that way? And we go on the defense. And this doctor really goes into the fundamental reasons. Maybe it's people pleasing, maybe it's feeling unworthy, maybe the person that wants to constantly fix something isn't actually dealing with the way that they feel in themselves. And they're not really facing it. They're just trying to fix things away. And the actual internal dialogue is that this is not okay for me to feel. And I've seen this throughout all human healing communities, but human communities too, that, okay, stop feeling that. My kids and I, we've been going through a really rough period. This last couple of weeks have been really hard. And last night, my daughter came to me and she was crying and she was upset and she was angry. And I just said, I understand. It's okay to feel that way. And then she said some other things, some select things like, well, what are we going to do about it? And I said, you're just going to feel it. Just feel it, understand how you're feeling. Because what am I supposed to do? Are we supposed to go and yell at another person for what they're feeling and what their actions are towards their feelings? The reactivity is the reason why the whole situation's a mess anyway. The not looking at ourselves and saying, okay, well, are we supposed to have to fix everything? In reality, no, we're just supposed to sit and feel it. And I think that that was one of the biggest takeaways that I took from this Mel Robbins podcast was we need to stop trying to fix it. This positive toxicity of like everything's supposed to be perfect all the time. It's supposed to be Facebook perfect all the time. We're supposed to be prim, proper, beautiful. Yesterday, my eyes were puffy and my face was red and I didn't look the best. Today, I do. But today is the day that I'm doing this. And I could have just shown up as my crying, upset self. And that's okay. It is okay to feel the hard feelings, my friends. The energies that are coming through right now, the heightened emotions, the heightened reactivity, the heightened experiences, fundamentally, all of these things that are happening, it is calling to attention to feel your feelings, to understand your feelings, and to allow yourself to understand that that is a normal part of your world. You will not feel great and perfect every single day. You may feel depressed sometimes. That is okay. You may feel down sometimes. I've been struggling with my weight, and it's been really tough to know that I feel out of control and I feel frustrated and I feel guilt because I know I can do better, but I'm not doing that right now. Those are hard. That's human. It's understanding, sitting, acknowledging, and being able to be resilient through those emotions. And you cultivate this peace within you while you cultivate that resilience, that understanding that I don't have to do anything with this right now. Taking care of myself is taking care of how I feel, is taking care of and understanding what emotions are coming up for me. I have this really awesome book from one of the training courses that I took. It's called T3 Therapy. It's no longer around. I think it was absorbed into Dr. Bradley Nelson's work, but in this book that I have, it shares more emotions of what we can feel as a human experience. One of them that really has, oddly enough, come through in a lot of my sessions, my one-to-one sessions, codependency. And what codependency is, I'm not okay if you're not okay. That's kind of scary because we can't always guarantee that another person is going to be okay. And our being okay should not depend on that other person being okay. Someone else might be going through a tough time with something, but that's their path to walk. We need, as a society, to build more emotional resilience in ourselves so that we can show up for others in a healthier way. And what does that look like? It looks like my daughter coming to me crying, upset, frustrated, angry, and I just say, I get it. Well, what are we going to do about it? You're going to feel it. You're going to understand that you feel that way. I'm not going to do anything but sit with you and hug you and hold you and love you. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way, but this is life. These are things that we feel. And later on, I was feeling angry, frustrated, upset. I was in a moment of despair. And what I did was I sat there and I put my hands on my chest, took deep breaths. I felt the grief. I felt the pain. I felt the frustration, the anger, the rage, the resentment. I felt the feelings of not being understood, feeling misunderstood, feeling less than, feeling unworthy, feeling like I'm on the back burner. And even as I'm sitting here saying it, I can feel it, understand it, and it brings a sense of release to me, a relief to me, because I'm here for me. No one else should have to make me feel better. I am responsible for me. And I know that so many people get caught up with this feeling of I have to fix it, or because this person is feeling this way now, therefore I have to, or feel this way. And I think that this is where society is really going wrong, is that we are only responsible for the way that we feel. We can share compassion, like, dang, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I can be there for you. And hey, if it's, I feel like you're not pulling your weight at home, or I feel like I'm being taken for granted. Well, what can we do to support each other in that? That I don't think that the defensiveness coming up is the most connective way to approach things. And right now, in this time, in this energetic shift, in this blue moon, in whatever we want to call it, collectively, there is a reckoning happening. If we are not walking through the things that we need to walk through, if we are not noticing the patterns of what we feel, if we are not aligning ourselves or understanding and building a core foundation for the way that we experience, instead of trying to make it the way that someone else needs to experience, we are going to have rude awakenings in these next few years. And it is energetically happening. This is happening across all kinds of social media that I'm watching, YouTube videos, TikToks, anything and everything you look at. It is talking about all of these different shifts in the world. And truly, the shifts really come from the way that we feel and the way that we're navigating the way that we feel in our lives, instead of saying, well, it's your fault. And because you did this, now, therefore, I'm going to do this and I'm going to hurt you in this way. Instead of doing that and creating disconnection, why don't we sit with ourselves and create the internal connection so that instead of going and getting angry and getting frustrated and throwing things and yelling, we're able to find our core selves and say, I'm feeling this and this is hard. You can come from a place of more compassion for yourself and more love for others if we just sat and said, that person is feeling that, but it's not mine. And it's not my responsibility to make it change or make it be other than it is. It's just what it is. One of the biggest things that I learned this morning in this video is that us as parents, we really try to fix how our kids feel. And something really interesting that she said is, we are only as happy as our saddest child. What a deep entanglement us as parents, if you have children, feel to make sure that our children are okay. And sometimes we're actually disempowering them from being okay because of the fact that we're human. There are going to be times where we're not going to feel okay. They're not going to feel okay. But teaching them this is an experience, and unfortunately, I can't save you from all of them. I'm not going to be there for the rest of your life. Always. Things happen. I've met children that they've lost their parents 14, 15. There was a horrible accident here in Carson where two single moms lost their lives and four children were left alone, teenagers. And those types of things happen. And if we have not built our children up to feel confident in themselves by saying, you can handle this. This is tough, but you can handle it. And building that within ourselves too. This is tough, but I can handle it. This is hard. This feels painful. This feels devastating. This feels frustrating. This feels irritating. This feels disconnected. This feels lonely. This feels empowering. I feel courageous. I feel brave, but I'm still a little scared with that bravery. Do you notice the differences in the way that maybe even you can feel and perceive through your day-to-day by saying, this makes me feel passionate and brave, but man, there's a little bit of fear in there too. And that's okay, because you are unlocking your human self. So build yourself up so you can build up the next generation, and that generation can build up the next one after too. We all have the power to ripple and to help and to build and to grow. And if anything in this world has taught me anything at all, is that I've got me. I love who I am, mistakes and all. Because, man, I F up. I F up sometimes. I think that you are not human. You are a robot if you do not. But own it. See where you want to help yourself react differently, or nurture yourself, or be compassionate towards yourself for the next F up. I love who I am, genuinely, because I see when I'm stubborn or bullheaded. And each time that I see that and I call that attention to myself, I soften towards who I am more, and I am able to react a little bit different, just a little bit different each time. I'm able to make just a little bit more of a rational decision the next time. And if I fall from being very rational and doing really good, I still understand that I am way further than when I started. So I hope today I can inspire you to sit with the way that you feel. I challenge you to go and watch Mel Robbins' interview with Dr. David, world leading psychologist, How to Master Your Emotions and Deal with Negative People. I challenge you to watch it because it's a growth tool. The more that we listen to what people that have wise experience have to say, and the more that we absorb their words, their wisdom, their understanding, their guidance, the less it is the blind leading the blind. Because that's what we do a lot of times. We're internally navigating from the way that we feel, and we're not actually watching and understanding, oh, I am reacting in this way because of my guilt. I am overreacting. I'm becoming way too emotionally attached to this. I'm pushing people away. I'm lonely, and instead of dealing with my loneliness, pushing it and making it everyone's fault. Sit with these things, because as we continue to grow, these emotional outbursts are getting stronger and stronger and stronger because we have pushed them down for so long. We have ignored the way that we feel, the way that we behave ourselves because of the way that we feel. And I read this on Facebook. There is a holy reckoning happening. If you are not walking your tooth, spirit is ripping the blindfolds off everyone right now. The blindfolds are, oh, these are feelings that we have to continuously deal with for every single day of our lives. And if we do not learn how to process them in a healthy, safe, and secure way, then the next generation and the next generation and the next generation are going to suffer from our inability or lack of wanting to grow. So grow, my friends. We've got this. And if anything happens, you've got yourself. You've got you. Build that resilience, because you are strong, you are powerful, you are brave, you are courageous. You've got this. And even on your worst day, you have something that no one can take away from you, and that is you. I love you all. Every single last one of you watching this, I love you all. And no matter how hard things get, just know that you are loved. And as long as you can say, I love who I am, then no challenge is too big.